For generations of children, the threat of getting the slipper was enough to make them freeze in fear. Slippering was a familiar punishment in homes and schools, especially in Britain. Though many considered it less harsh than caning or belting, the sting of a slipper across the backside could be surprisingly painful, and the humiliation was often just as powerful as the pain itself. Today, slippering is mostly a memory, but its long history still sparks debate about discipline, shame, and control. What is slippering punishment? Slippering means striking someone's buttocks with a slipper, slide, or gym shoe. The slipper might be a soft carpet slipper from around the house, or a hard-soled plimsoll often used for sports lessons. Although softer than a cane or a leather strap, the slipper could still deliver a sharp, surprising sting that made many children dread its appearance. One or two firm smacks could leave the skin hot and red. But if more strokes followed in quick succession, the burning would intensify and cause the buttocks to throb. The sensation was often described as a quick flash of pain, followed by an ache that could last for several minutes, or even up to an hour, depending on how hard the blows were given and how many were delivered. A flexible, well-worn slipper could mold to the shape of the body, spreading the impact and making each smack feel heavier. Some children said it felt like a sudden explosion of heat that made it impossible to sit still. The slipper was often chosen because it was always available, easy to grab from under a bed, by the front door, or out of a gym bag. Parents didn't have to search for a cane or a special strap. It was there, ready to be used the moment tempers flared. Unlike formal caning, slippering could be carried out instantly, sometimes within seconds of the misbehavior. This made it a convenient and highly effective punishment for minor rule breaking that didn't seem to deserve something more severe, but still needed a lesson. Teachers in schools also appreciated how the slipper combined practicality with enough sting to get a student's attention without leaving serious injuries. For many children, the memory of bending over a desk or their parent's knee while the sole of the slipper smacked down remained one of the most vivid and dreaded moments of their childhood. How was slippering used in schools? In British schools, especially during the mid-20th century, slippering was extremely common. Teachers kept a gym shoe, sometimes called the slipper, in their desk or cupboard. In many schools, the slipper was the first level of punishment for breaking rules. If a student talked back, failed a test, or misbehaved in the hallways, they might be told to bend over a chair or grab their ankles. The teacher then delivered a set number of strokes across the seat of the trousers. Although it was considered milder than the cane, a firm slippering could be very painful. The rubber sole of a worn plimsoll was flexible enough to sting sharply, and older boys often said it hurt more than they expected. In some mixed schools, girls were slippered while boys were caned, but in many places both boys and girls received the slipper for everyday offenses. Unlike caning, slippering was often not recorded in official punishment registers, since it was viewed as informal discipline rather than a serious sanction. Why was slippering considered less severe? Many teachers and parents believed slippering was a gentler form of corporal punishment. Unlike a cane, which could cut the skin or leave long-lasting bruises, a slipper usually only caused redness and a temporary burning sensation. Because of this, it was seen as an appropriate response to minor rule breaking. Some adults thought slippering had a domestic feel that made it less intimidating than other implements. However, that didn't mean it was harmless. A slippering in front of classmates could be deeply embarrassing, especially for older children. The ritual, being ordered to bend over, hearing the slap of the sole, could leave memories that lasted far longer than the soreness. How did slippering work at home? At home, slippering was often the preferred punishment for parents who didn't want to use a belt or cane. Mothers especially favored the slipper because it was readily available and easy to control. A child might be told to fetch the slipper themselves, adding to the dread. The punishment usually took place over the parent's knee or bent across furniture. Depending on the household, the child could be spanked over clothes or on the bare bottom. Parents believed slippering was quick, effective, and left no lasting injury. But for many children, the shame of being slippered, especially in front of siblings, could feel worse than the pain itself. In some cultures beyond Britain, such as Latin America and South Asia, slippers were also used as a traditional domestic punishment. What types of slippers were used? The word slipper might sound gentle, but in schools, the most common implement was actually a plimsoll, a gym shoe with a thick rubber sole. A flexible, broken-in plimsoll could deliver a much sharper sting than a stiff new one. Some teachers even preferred a large men's size, believing it had the most impact. At home, parents often used soft house slippers or slides. These were lighter and less painful, but still capable of causing enough discomfort to serve as a warning. The choice of slipper depended on what was at hand, making slippering one of the most practical punishments. When did slippering start to decline? By the late 20th century, attitudes toward corporal punishment were changing quickly. Research showed that hitting children, even mildly, could cause anxiety and resentment. Schools gradually stopped using physical discipline, and in the UK, corporal punishment in state schools was banned in 1987. Private schools followed in the late 1990s and early 2000s. At home, slippering declined as more parents adopted non-violent forms of discipline like timeouts or taking away privileges. Today, most child psychologists agree that slippering, like other forms of corporal punishment, does more harm than good. Did slippering appear in popular culture? Yes. Slippering was so common that it became a familiar theme in British comics and stories. Characters in the Beano and the Dandy, like Dennis the Menace and Minnie the Minx, were often shown getting the slipper for their pranks. The scenes were usually played for laughs, reflecting how ordinary slippering once was. In literature, slippering also appeared as a reference point for punishment. In Moby Dick, the character Ishmael mentions begging his stepmother for a good slippering, showing that even in fiction, the slipper was recognized as a classic tool of discipline. How did slippering affect children? While slippering was often considered harmless, many people who experienced it recall feeling fear and humiliation. Being slippered in front of classmates or siblings could be deeply embarrassing, while the anticipation of punishment created anxiety. Though the physical pain was short-lived, the emotional impact could last much longer. Over time, experts have argued that even mild corporal punishment teaches children to associate love with fear and can damage trust between adults and children. This understanding contributed to the decline of slippering and similar practices. Once a routine part of growing up, slippering has nearly disappeared from homes and schools. Its story shows how quickly ideas about discipline can change. What was once accepted as normal is now recognized as outdated and potentially harmful. What do you think about slippering as a form of punishment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more about punishment worldwide and throughout the ages, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.